I was originally going to title this video All the Mistakes I've Made in My Business, and then I realised that that would probably take hours and that I actually can't remember a lot of them because I've absorbed the lesson and then moved on. So here are just a few from the last 6 months, because I talk all the time about not worrying about mistakes and learning from our mistakes. And if I want you to really hear that message, I need to talk about my mistakes as well. I'm Rachel Roberts and I help ELT, ESL and language teaching freelancers optimize their business model, their marketing and their mindset so you can work less and earn more. So probably the biggest mistake that I've made so far this year was also one that I made last autumn, and I clearly didn't learn from it. It was assuming that being on a stand at a conference full of my ideal clients would be the perfect way to launch an offer and get clients. It didn't work out that way. Renting the stand space cost me hundreds of pounds, and guess how many clients I got from either experience? Yeah, zip, zilch, nada, zero. But I did learn some valuable lessons. Firstly, I think people are generally super wary of coming up and talking to you when you're on a stand. It's like you've got a big sign on your forehead saying, I'm going to try and sell you something. And I would watch people walk in the direction of the stand and then suddenly swerve away as if repelled by a giant magnet. I'm guessing with some justification that they're assuming that because you've invested in a stand, that you are therefore going to be trying to sell hard to them. And people generally don't like being sold to. Not when that means someone buttonholing you and refusing to let you go until you've signed on the dotted line. In fact, that's not my style, but I get it. And it doesn't have the organic nature of natural conversations that you might have with people around a conference, or indeed online on social media, where you can actually work out if somebody is potentially interested before you start talking about your offer. Being on the stands also meant that I spoke to and even saw far fewer people than I usually would at this conference. The stand was also quite tucked away, so it was a bit of a bust socially as well, which was a shame because apart from the social aspect of it, having genuine conversations with people is always the best way to sell. Because actually, although I said people don't like being sold to, that's not the case if it's something that they're actually interested in buying and that's relevant to them. People don't mind at all being told about a service in those situations, rather than having it rammed down their throats. The next big mistake I've made since the beginning of this year, which I recently spotted, is that I've been so busy with preparing for this conference that I just mentioned and doing other webinars and workshops for different teachers' associations that somehow almost 3 months has passed without me replacing the quiz that I used to have on my website and social media profiles as a way of encouraging people to join my mailing list. Now, this is a massive own goal because while the workshops and webinars, including the one that I did at the conference, are a good way of building relationships and getting people onto my email list, they are a lot of work to prepare and they mostly only gather a handful of people at a time. Whereas the quiz I have planned is going to be super insightful and useful and will probably bring in hundreds of people. So the lesson here is to keep stepping back and checking out what my priorities are. And how do I know what to prioritize? It's always got to be those things which are going to have the biggest impact. The third mistake I've made this year that I'm going to tell you about is kind of connected to the previous one because it's also about not taking the time to step back and see the bigger picture. I signed up for a fabulous full-day one-to-one with a great copywriter, got loads of insights, and since then, about 2 months ago, I've been so busy that I haven't actually had the opportunity to implement most of what she told me. When you're overwhelmed, your ability to see the wood for the trees suffers. This is literally true. Your peripheral vision actually narrows when you're under stress. So the answer is A, to make time to step back and see the bigger picture. So I did this a couple of weeks ago in a mastermind retreat that I went to in Norfolk, which was amazing. B, to prioritize ruthlessly. So I've done this by putting some plans I had for a short course on hold for now, so that I can focus on implementing what I've learned about my messaging and get that quiz out to you. And C, get some help. I already have some help from a couple of amazing VAs, but I'm leaning harder into this. And I actually hired somebody else a few days ago to optimize and post some blog posts for me. Making mistakes and going off down the wrong path at times is inevitable when you have your own business, and it's made worse by the fact that we're often trying to do all the roles in our business ourselves at the same time. But the most important role of all in your business is not actually the role of being a teacher or a trainer or whatever it is you do. The most important role is being the CEO or the leader of your business. You need to give yourself time to step back, see the bigger picture, make those conscious decisions, evaluate progress, and learn from mistakes, because those mistakes always have something useful to teach us. I'd love to hear in the comments if you have any mistakes that you've made recently that you'd like to share and what you've learned from them. And in the next video coming up on your screen, I'm talking about a different way of looking at and achieving success in your business.